Mitzvah Kuf Peites. HaMitzvah Teisha Ushmonim Umeya Hi Shetzivonu Lizko Ma She'osalono Amalek Mehakdimoi Lohoralono, that he came, he was Makedim, let me see what that means, in order to do evil to us. In Kapach Shekodem Oisono Bara. So I think that this Kodem Oisoi, Hikdimoi, is a reference to the word the Ram used in Mishnah Torah of Arevosai, which is a lair or a trap, to entrap someone. Like when a military, when you have a foray and you attack someone from all sides and the person doesn't know what hit them. And that's what Amalek was about to do. That's Arevosai. Okay. Now, like this, the Ram continues, and he says, "Ushenoima zeh b'chol eis v'eis, and kapach zmon uzmon." So, what does this mean? This means that you constantly are supposed to say, remember Amalek? At the moment, we know nothing, but it's certainly clear that not only he has the opinion here, but he says it Mishnah Torah in Perek Hey of Hilchos Malachim Malacha Hey, v'chein Mitzvas Aseh la'abed zecha Amalek u'mitzvas v'chulei u'mitzvas Aseh lizko tomid ma'asov horoim va'arevosai tomid. So I don't know what to see what tomid means, but it's certainly clear from the Rambam that the clear from Parshas Zochor, you are not yotze the mitzvah of Zchir Amalek. It's certainly insufficient. It's not tomid. And therefore, the Rambam brings the dinim, or the clear Parshas Zochor, only Hilchos Tefillah. In the halachas of tefillah in the dini of Dalet Parshiyos, but it doesn't bring in Hilchos Malachim, because Hilchos Malachim is the place for the mitzvah Kriyas Amalek. Tefillah also includes the Seder of Kriyas HaTorah. That's the Ram Perek Yud Gimel of Hilchos Tefillah halacha Chof. Oish Chodesh Adar Chodesh b'Shabbos Korim b'Parshas Shkolim u'maftirim v'yoyada hakoyin v'chule b'shniya koyin zocho u'maftir pakarti ez shas Amalek. So that I know for sure. I can't say at the moment I know for sure or have any clue of what tomid is, but I know that a one-time shot you're not yotze. And this is not like Tesis. It's in other places, but one place is Teis and Brochis Gimel and Aleph. We are Maschel B'Loshen HaKodesh Nemro. V'yeshloim v'demayri b'Parshis HaMuchuyovim Likois Deraisa. Kmo Parshis Zochor. So that's Teis Shita, and the Ram is not like that. Then he goes further, and he says, "Une'erer hanefoshes b'mamorim lihilochem bo." It's almost like a rabbi rouser to get people to have a a speech that is highly emotionally charged and will get people excited about going to war. So the mitzvah is to get the people excited before they go out to war. And it's a hachana for the mitzvah milchama of Milchemes Amalek, which is Kuf Peches. And l'cheira, I would assume that's what he's doing at the end of this mitzvah when he says, Halo istire Shmuel Anovi kishi hischel laseis mitzvah zeis. It means the mitzvah of l'cheira mitzvah zeis. L'cheira is referring to the mitzvah of Zechiris Amalek. Eich osa shu zocha tchila ma'aseu hora v'achar kach tzivul l'holgam. So it's a prelude to Milchama. V'omrei pokarti es asher osa Amalek liYisrael. So, and then you understand why the Rambam puts the two mitzvahs together, because Schira is entangled with Milchama. But the more you say this, the more you're confused, because shouldn't it be excluded from being a mitzvah because of Sherish Asiri? If it's a achana for Milchama, so we know that mitzvahs which are gedomos are not mina mitzvahs, like the making of lechem aponim, the making of shemen for the menorah, the making of shemen amishcha, and the making of kseres, as the Ram says in Sherish Yud. He also should have been the achana, getting a rabble, being a rabble rousing, getting ready to go to war. So I think what's happening over here, if this would be the only aspect of the mitzvah, then I could imagine one saying that it's not a separate mitzvah minyan mitzvahs, but it's a akdama to the mitzvah milchama of Milchemes Amalek. But then he says, when the zare is ha'om, lisnoi oisoi, get people excited about hating Amalek. The schira has to be gurim sinah. Ad sheloi tishkach HaMitzvah. V'loi techlash sinosoi. So it could be it could be over here. Actually, Tishkach HaMitzvah is that it should be the idea of Amalek should always be on your conscious, should always be in your subconscious. Ad shelo tishkach HaMitzvah. The shiurim in B'chol Eis v'lei techlash sinosei. He says Kapach. Sadi. Peites. V'ne'oy lefosh b'dvorim lochem boy, v'nikra es b'nei Adam l'sonoi. That's nikra. Kidei, and that's very important. You see, the kidei is very important. You see, by us, it should be kidei. So, and what's the kidei? Kidei shelo yishtach chadovo v'lo techlash sinosei v'tmayit min afot nefoshes b'meshech hazman. The purpose of this whole thing is enough that there shouldn't be a decrease in the sinner from door to door. So it could be the Rambam here is explaining what b'chol eis ve'eis is. But however, it's also very clear that the zechira is not stam a zechira, but it's a zechira that's gorim sinner. And that he also says in Hilchos Malachim, Perek Eloche Hey, Mitzvas say, Lisko Tomid Ma'aser V'roi V'Revosoi Kedei Lo Oicher Arevosoi. The purpose is to hate Amalek. Derech Agav, the Arevosoi is the Radak in Shmuel learns that it's he put us in a trap. Shesamlero ma'arav. This is the Targum Yonason or Targum Yerushalmi, whatever it is over there in Kiseitse, and also Targum Yonason in Shmuel and Radak in Shmuel and the Pirkei Dovoloza in Perek Mem Daled. Omar al Haderech Kidoiv Shak Lahamis Aim Alabonim. He was waiting a ledge just to jump and to kill Aim Alabonim. Shenema Shekocha Baderech. Now, let's flip it, okay? So, Lamais is what you have is a mitzvah of Zechira, which is a prelude to Melchama, and there's a mitzvah of Zechira that throughout the generations, it shouldn't get less. So, that's not Akdama to Melchama, and that's certainly a reason to count the Minyan HaMitzvos. Because there's a kiyum independent of achana. However, I just want to point out that one should not take the stand that b'chol eis, that you have to do it constantly. Because in the Rambam, in the Shiur Mitzvah Aseh, we count the mitzvahs which are noigis b'chol zman, umehem mitzvahs mischayvos l'chol ish behechach b'chol zman b'chol mokim be'eze inyan sheyiyeh. So l'chayra, Zechiras HaMolech should have been there, and the Rambam doesn't count Zechiras HaMolech in those mitzvahs. So I think the best is that he's trying to tell you it's not enough one time. The point is to increase the sinner, and the shiurim in kol zman uzman, that it shouldn't be nechlash midor ledor. And that's a shiur in b'chol eis, I would assume. Now, The question you can ask yourself is something else. Is the approach over here that someone gets others excited about hating Amalek, or it's just one should work on themselves? If you look over here, in Minyan HaMitzvos, the Rambam's talking about getting others excited. He says, "Shenoima ze b'chol eis ve'eis u'ne'orer hanefoshes." Others b'ma'amorim lilochem boy u'nezaris ha'om lisnoi oisoi on kapach u'ne'orer es hanefoshes b'dvorim lilochem boy. It's others. V'nikles b'nei odom l'sonoi. Others. And maybe that's what he quotes Shmuel, because Shmuel was getting others to hate. However, if you open up the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim, Perek Hey, Halacha Hey, Mitzvas Lisko Tomid Ma'asa V'Roim V'Rivosai K'dei La'oire Evosai Shneim Zocha Is Asher Asa L'Cha Amalek Pi Shmuel Lamdu Zocha B'Fer Lo Yisishkach B'Leiv She'Asa L'Shkoich Evosai V'Sinosai. So then, in Mishnah Torah, there's no mention about a rabbi rouser that someone should get me excited about it, but one can do it on their own. It's interesting. But however, if you learn, like here, that he's quoting Shmuel for this, Eich Shmuel Anovi shehiskalas is mitzvah, or as Kapach says, Kasher bo l'kayim mitzvah. So because he spoke to others, and the Ram Mishnah Torah not clear to me at all that that's the case. That you need it. I'm not saying that it's a grace to get other people involved, but it's not necessary. Okay. Now, next. He says, V'omo yisal zocha eis asher osa l'cha amalek. V'loshen sifri zocha eis asher osa l'cha amalek. Zocha asher osa Amalek. V'loshen sifri zocha eis asher osa l'cha b'feh lo yisishkach b'leiv. So it has to be, you have to vocalize it. Kloimo. Emo mamori b'ficho sheyechayvu b'nei odom shelo yisosa sinosa me'alavavos. Again, it's to get other that they should not forget, they shouldn't lose their sinner. In sheyechayvu b'nei odom is a little bit odd translation, how you mechayev them. I can imagine the way Kappa translates, go, you said you're good. Libnei Odom. So that's good. V'loshen sifra zocha is asher osa l'cha amalek yochel b'vovcho kshu'im l'sishkach ha'shichsalev amur homani kayim zocha shedhei shene b'ficha. And maybe he learned shene b'ficha is he should be over and over again, and that's That's the idea of B'choleis and Tomid. Now, let's go now to the end. Just one thing. Halotira Shmuel Anovi. So Shmuel Anovi is he was the kind of mitzvah of Zocheh Shosel Chomer Bakadati. The Rambam in Hilchos Malachim in Perek Aleph Halach Aleph Beis Sholosh Mitzvos Nitztavu Yisrael b'Shas Knis La'aretz, and he says rules based on Bechira Shnema Chosidchu Minu Melech Koilel Mechilmes Hamolek Shnema Oisi Sholach Hashem Lemoshchacho Lemelech Ato Lech V'Kisas Hamolek. That's the pasuk right of Bakai. Lech v'kisas Amalek. Lech v'kisas Amalek. And l'cheira, what the Rama means over here in Pokadati, Esa She'asa al Amalek Yisrael, is that Shmuel Anovi, Shmuel Anovi is giving a matzivui to Mekayim Mitzvah Torah, that a Novi Kimizares, and he's telling us what the mitzvah is. You have to zocho, and you have to do a milchama. There's a problem. All very nice. The Rambam in the Hakdama to Pirush HaMishnah says something amazing. He talks about Nevi'im, and he says sometimes they tell you things nogei to the Jewish religion, and some things not to do with religion, dvorim rishus, but they might be mitzvah. V'yitzavim sivuyim v'yazi ashoros shelo bi'inyonei adas. Kigoin shoyma hilochamu al ir plonis. Go and surround and make a milchama war against this ear, this city, or umaplonis achsho, or a certain nation. Kmo shetziva Shmuel es Shaul lihilochem ba'amolek oz. So what does that mean? It means that Shmuel's tzivui was not to mekayim a mitzvah, but it was dvar rishus. The Ram over here doesn't seem to go like that. And the Ram in Hilchos Malachim certainly clearly, oisi, how do you know that Minui Melech is koilel mechemes Amalek? Oisi sholach Hashem lemoshcho lemelech ato lech v'kisas Amalek. And the Ram is told with the mitzvah. It is true, as we pointed out last week, that according to the Rambam, the mitzvah of in the Nevuah Shmuel, there were things that were not part of the mitzvah Mechias Hamalek. For example, the Ariga of the Behemoth. which is not like Rashi. So you could have said, that's Rishus, that's not Inyonei Das. But that's not the Pshat, because he's talking about the Muhammad on the ear. He's not talking about the behemoths. And he's saying it's nothing to do with religion. This is very difficult. Okay. So what we have from here is very important. It's very clear according to the Rambam, whether you pronounce the Pasha of Amalek properly or don't pronounce the Amalek, we know nothing about this. Because the mitzvah is to ma'ur yourself to be saying Amalek. Or to ma'ur others to be saying Amalek, depending upon whether you take the way the Ram cans it here or in Mishnah Torah. Okay. He doesn't say there's a P'tur Noshim. We have to look into this. Okay. Next, mitzvah kuf tzadi. Mitzvah tishim umeya. He shetzivonu hamishpot. So if you look at the Judeo-Arabic over here, al tashriya shrana. So tzivono amishpot, tzavinu, whatever. The tzavinu is the tilgum of Amor. Here, it's more like a religious law. It probably is Hamishpat Chorenu. And this is like the Ram in Akotze, La'aseh is b'mochemes rishus kemishpat hakosu batera. Do like the religious law, kemishpat hakosu batera. Shenema kisika el ir. And this is the interpretation of Shirano. Now, Shetzivonu Amishpot Nosalonu B'Bechemes Shar Ha'umois. We pointed out the problem Shar Ha'umois. L'cheira, then you talk about the Ummah of Amalek before, or the Ummah of Zainam, and the problems that entails in terms of Amalek. Vihi Nikris Melchemes Rishus. The mitzvah called Melchemes Rishus. The Torah has a law how we should fight Melchemes Rishus. V'zeh shanachnu nitztavinu. And here, it's a tzivui muchot. And the Ram goes back and forth with Shirana and tzivui muchot. He does the same thing in Mitzvas Tzadi Hey and Aforos the Dom. One sentence he says it's a tzivui muchot, an absolute command, and the other he says it's religious law. So I think what happens is that from the religious law, you can extrapolate, infer that we are commanded to do so. We should be doing something. And that's the Shana. And there's a command. So you can call it a Amalna also. Because the Torah gives you religious law, the underlying assumption is we should act according to the law. and there's a command, which is very interesting and very strange. What does command mean? Do you need explicit command? Implicit command's enough. You get the impression that an implicit command is also enough. V'inikus milchemes rishus v'zeh shanachnu tztavinu kishenilchem imohem, or it doesn't mean, it means kishenilchem imohem. It means when we're surrounding the city, ready to be at war with them. As the Ram says in Protei Mitzvas, in Hilchos Malachim. Says, Lishloch shalom with Yoshveir kishetzorim oleho. When you're surrounding the city. So that's kishenilcham imohem, when we are prepared to fight them. Now shenafticham al nafshom levad. We're not sure. The words don't make much sense. Not sure exactly what he says. Kapach, at least we understand what he says. She'im nilcham bohem nichos imohem bris al nafshom bilvad. Shonet tavinu she'im nilcham bohem nichos bris al nafshom levad im ishlimu imonu umosalonu es oretz. So, first of all, you have to be very careful to translate kishenilcham again. Imohem, we are ready to fight. But we only could be curious of bris, is told naftichom, is a krisis bris about their lives, that we're not going to kill them. But we don't tell them anything more. We're not maftich them anything more. We don't promise them anything more. That's what Kapach says. Translation here. Im she'im nilcham bohem nichos imohem bris al nafshom bilvad im hishlimu imono. But then it says another thing. Kapach says, "Umosalonu es oretz." V'yitnu lonu altzom arotzos. It's a little strange. Altzos, altzom. I could have imagined. I know what altzos is. Yeah. Arotzos, I could have been altzos. Very strange. But whatever it is, you see one thing from this. You see that in Hishlimo, we are the Bailim of the Kalka. So the concept the Rambam had that in Mas Oived, there's Kibush Oretz and Kiddush Oretz, it makes a lot of sense because within the Shlimo is only you curse bris that they live, but they're not the bottom of the land anymore. Here is interesting. If you interpret like that the derech lahashlim is like kapach, that it's through Chris bris. The question is, are you allowed, and with whom are you allowed to be Chris bris? Loisa se memches. The Ram says like this: He she's hilnu mikrois bris im hakefrim ulhavtichom al kfirosam rotzaloima zayin amim. So the Isa Krisis bris is with zayin amim. So then it doesn't do with this mitzvah. There's no problem because mitzvah mechemes rishus is b'shar amim, as the Ram said at the beginning of Kuf Sadi. So the din lahashlim is a din of krisis bris, and it's only mechemes rishus, and it's not with the zayin amim. Things become a little bit more interesting when you get to Mishnah Torah in Perek Zayin of Hilchos Malachim, Halacha Aleph, Hilchos Malachim Milchames. Echad Milchames Mitzvah, not to be sorry. Perek Vav Halacha Aleph, I think. Yeah. Perek Vav Halacha. Ein oisem milchama im odem ba'olam ad shikorin loy mishalem. Echad milchemes rishus v'echad milchemes mitzvah. And she sikav l'ir v'lochim aleh kosei le'el l'shalem. So it's very clear that the Rambam is having the mitzvahs that the din of shalom is bein mechemes mitzvah, bein mechemes rishus. He's also of the opinion that the lav of krisis bris in Mishnah Torah is lav dafka in the zayin amamim, but it's even in any goy who's eved avodah zarah. Ain't kosim bris li'oiv the avodah zarah kedei shenasi moem shalom v'neich oisam la'ovda shenemo lo'isichis lo'hem bris el yachzu me'avodosam o yahalgu. So here it becomes very interesting because the lav in Mishnah Torah has been extended, and also the mitzvah is extended. The mitzvah of Kriyas Shalom is even in Mechemes mitzvah, and the lav of Krisis bris is in all of the avodah zarah, and lav dafka b'zayin amamin. You could have said that this is what forced the Rambam in Mishnah Torah to say that Shaila Shalom requires Kabbalah's Zayin mitzvahs. which he doesn't have in Sefer HaMitzvos. The Ram says, Im ishlimu v'kiblu in Perek Yuvav Aloch Aleph v'kiblu sheva mitzvos zav b'nei noach aleim ein hogim mehem neshomo v'ari hein lamas. So I would have understood this, or begin to have understood it, if the Ram had been like the Ramban. We'll talk about it later, or maybe next week. Ramban's opinion is that there is shalom both in Mochemes Mitzvah and Mochemes Rishus, but you require in Zayin Amamin Kabbalah Zayin Mitzvahs. But the Rambam goes beyond that and requires Kabbalah Zayin Mitzvahs in Mechemes Rishus also. So we don't know where this comes from. Minchas Chinuch in Mitzvah Tzadi Gimel is Aleph. V'nei midasel midivrei Rambam kan Hilchos Akum u'miloshen Arav ha'mechaber nire dim einom oivdem avodah zora this lav doesn't exist. It's not just enough avodah zora, it's all Zayin mitzvahs. V'im lav af shekibel aleim shel avodah zora mikom makom ein b'chlal lav zeh. Ki tzrichin shekaymu kol Zayin mitzvahs. So this is a chiddush. See, there are two different issues. The question is, what's Sheila Sholem? What's the lav? So I would imagine a lav is avodah zora. Sheila Sholem might require Zayin mitzvahs. It's very confusing here where the Zayin mitzvahs came from. The Ramban also goes back and forth and says they require it by Zayin Amin because the Torah says the reason why you have to kill them is because they're over there with the Zohar and they're going to influence you. So then why do you need Kabbalah Zayin mitzvahs? And the Ramban goes back and forth as soon as the same. Now, just before we go on, I want to, get something straight here, and then we'll go on further. We'll talk maybe more about this later. We'll see about the Zayin mitzvahs, whatever. But just straight, plain. You see, something amazing happened here because the Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvos says there's a mitzvah minyan mitzvahs called Mochemes Rishus. And he sets it up as a shrana. It's basically to do the Hirah, the way the Torah said, to do a Mochemes Rishus, a Mochama. The Rambam turns the world upside down and says that the din of Shaila Shalom applies in Mochemes Mitzvah also. So there's a mitzvah missing in Minyan Mitzvahs because there's no such mitzvah of Mochemes Rishus. So in Mishnah Torah, you have no clue of what happened. But if you look in the Platei Mitzvahs in Hilchos Malachim, the Rambam gives you the answer. There it goes. Yeah. Yud Beis. Lichshloach shalom liyeshvu ir kishitzom oleh, when you're surrounding it. V'lodun bo kashem mefurish batera im tashlim v'im loy tashlim. So the Ram doesn't say that it's mochemes rishus. It means anytime you go to Milchama and you're surrounding a city, you have to call the shalom. And if they answer it properly, you make shalom. And if not, you go to war. So the mitzvah changed from a mitzvah of Mochemes Rishus to a mitzvah of Kriya Shalom. But the Rama maintains, I think, the idea of Sharana. Because you look at the Lashon, Lishloyach Shalom, Liyesh Ve'ir, Kishitzom Aleho, V'lodun bo kashem mefurish b'tereh. Act according to the religious law. And that's the Sharana. Now, you see, we have no clue if the Ram requires Kabbalah Zayin Mitzvahs in Sefer Mitzvos, because since it's not mentioned Mefurish and Torah Shebiksav, maybe there's no reason to mention it in Minyan HaMitzvos. As the Ram generally limits the discussion in Minyan HaMitzvos to Torah Shebiksav, which would be accordance with the Shorish Beis, because Minyan HaMitzvah Minyan about Torah Shebiksav. The Rambam has in Perek Ches Halacha Yud, v'chein tziva Moshe Rabbeinu mipi hagvur lokuf es kol boi olam lekabel mitzvahs shenitztavu b'nei Noach v'chol mi shelo yikabel yehoreg. Doesn't do it with Kriya Shalom. Makabel oisam hu anigal ger toishav. So that did, which the Rambam says v'chol boi olam, that's not what we're talking about here. Because the Ram mentioned it separately and singularly as far as Kriya Shalom. We have no idea where it came from. And that's what he says in Perek Vav Halacha Daled. V'im lo hishlimu, o sheheshlimu v'lo kiblu zayin mitzvos, oisinim mechoma. Biskrov talks about this in Seitel, I'm in HaMitzvos, if you're interested. We mentioned the Ramban al Torah says that the Zayin mitzvahs are only by only by the Zayin Amimim. And he claims that the Sifri in Parsha Shoftim, Piskam Reish Beis, L'mana shelo yumadu, L'lamdu eschem la'aseis malamid, shim oisin tshuva in erogim, is about Kabbalah Zayin Mitzvahs by Zayin Amim. And the Gemara in Sefer, Lamed HaMitzvos Beis, Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Agabi Sitkos Vu, B'kos Vu Lo Namato, L'mana she'lamdu eschem la'aseis chol, so you could learn that it's referring to Zayin Amim, and that's where the Ramban learns. But Rashi turns the Gemara and Sefer upside down. Rashi is because of Lamata, Rashi there in Sefer. Loimed Shakavone. Rashi learns that the Kavone is on Zayin Amim who in Chutz La'aretz. There's no mitzvah la'achrimah. But Zayin Am in Eretz Yisrael, you have to kill no matter what. So that's where you have it. I don't know. Now, so whatever it is, the din hishlimo that is entangled with Kabbalah's mitzvahs applies across the board according to the Rambam. There is a problem. B'skarov, I just don't know where it's coming from. In what's quoted Chedusha Hagriz on a little bit on Tanakh and Simon Kuf Samach Aleph, Shmuel Aleph Tes Vav Yud Ches. Vayishloch Hashem b'derech v'yomer lecho v'charamto es hachatoim es Amalek v'goymer mirikom es hachatoim mikan mekol l'shitas HaRambam perek vov milchus melocha melocha daled the Amalek in kibul zayin mitzvos v'hishlim ein hogim noisei. So if we be peculiar din in Amalek, I understand. But it's not a peculiar din Amalek. It applies to Zayin Amun. It applies to everyone. So I'm not sure what he wants. It's a separate din. Amalek is chatoim, and you only kill b'tos chatoim. The Rambam says, l'chayre here, there's a mitzvah of v'hoy l'chol ha'mas v'avaducha. V'hu amo yisale, v'hoy l'chol ha'mas v'avaducha. So that's the mitzvah that once you conquer them and they are accept shalom, you have them under the yoke of mas v'avaducha. And lo only mafticham or curse bris al nafsham. V'lo shesifri amu mekabel anu oleinu misim v'lo shibud v'lo misim ein shemelem achikabel aleim zo v'zo. Who shitnu do v'yadu b'chol shana. They give a certain amount every year. Lefi mashig zo amelech shia beisahi shia tachas memshalta mashpilin atzmon. That's the hashpola of shibud. Who in shibud? V'im lo yashlimu imonu savinu la'al kol zocho Hashem Medina ahi hagedolim ulakachas kol asher lahem v'chol anoshim v'u'amo yisal v'im lo yisashlim imoch v'chulei v'zehu kuloi who din milchemes elishus. That's a Ramshita here in the Mitzvas. By his boy, Mishpli Mitzvazo, B'sheni Misahedrin, U'B'shmini Misaita. So V'hoy l'chol mas v'avaducha is a mitzvah. It's not borrow from other Rishonim with such a mitzvah. Tosis learns that it's a hete not to kill the goy. Tosis and Avodah Zorah, Chavav Mebeis, they were maskele ein moriden, ein moriden, ve'afal pi shestam kneinen, oiv the Avodah Zorah mazolos heim, ve'oiv marsheva mitzvos, mikol mokeim ein moriden. The Rabbinu bikro lahatera. So it means you can kill with a din, an umdana, that they violate the Zayin mitzvahs. You could have given them as you could have acted as a bezdin to kill them because the stam reitzchim shofri domim. But you don't do it because the Torah was mativ v'hoyel mas v'avaducha. And the Rosh seems to even go further that the Isa of killing a goy of Shvichas Dom Ben Noach, you learn from Hoya Cholamas Mavaducha. Stam goy is over Zayin Mitzvah Noach. Taste the Rosh there in Avodah Zorah. V'af agav the stam goyim Heim oiv de avodah zarah. We oiv mal seven mitzvahs. Ein moriden oisan. De b'shar umois ksiv v'hoy l'chol hamas l'avaducha. Hanimsa bo yehiyeh l'chol l'mas l'avaducha. And therefore, I guess you don't have to kill them. But you would have to kill a goy, stam goy. That's the what's going on here. But v'hoy l'chol hamas l'chol l'chol is a mitzvah. What's the do about whether you kill or not kill? Maybe learn also chesed. So I would have told you, even if the Rambam, it's only by those that you conquer. The Tesis and the Rosh are learning by Stamagoy of the din of Eloi Ma'alev Eloi Maridin from Choy Masavucha. So it's a general cloud of how you deal with Goyim. You know, that you're not mechuyev to kill them because of or there's a head to not to kill them, or there's an Isa to kill them because the Torah was matir of because of Hoyle Chas Vavaducha. Because the Rosh is matir is good for these. Avgav going on, he should have killed him. Ein morid noisom the b'shaum is ksiv Hoyle Chamas Vavaducha. So again, the Ram also, it says, you don't kill the women and you don't kill the children. Only the Gdolim. The Ram Mishnah Torah Perek Vav Chadalad says this also. V'im lo yeshlimu, oy sheshlimu lo kill zayim, it's not ois anymore mulchama, for hogin cause chol magdolim. Vein hogin isha, v'le cotton, shnem v'anoshim ataf, zet ataf, zet taf shel schol. Now, Mitzvah Shem next week, there's a mitzvah of Mashuach Muhammad. We have to know what the mitzvah is. Is it the Mashiach? Is it he gives sermons? Does he speak only what the Torah says? Does he add things the Torah says? Besides that, what dinim is this person have? And whether this din was said only in Mechemes Rishus and also Mechemes Mitzvah. And then we'll move on to the two mitzvahs of Yoseg and Klei Chfira. V'yati elecho michutz lamachne and v'yoseti elecho alei zeinecha. We have to understand, is this two mitzvahs? Is it one mitzvah? What exactly is the mitzvah? Mitzvah Shem. Okay. We'll see. Mitzvah Shem next week. Freilich Chanukah.